What up, Barebow Project? Hey, it's episode 56. Chris Garcia, AZ Cup, USAT #1 champion. Matt Yacca joins in. Matty did some stellar live feed work from the first USAT. Shout out to you, dude. Thank you so much. But for everybody else, you know the routine. I don't babble on about sponsors in the beginning of the episodes anymore. But to get right to the show and to get to the nuts and bolts of the Barebow Project, you have a fee to pay, and your fee is to share the show. That's all I ask you to do is share the show. Share it on Facebook, on Instagram, on whatever. I don't care where. You can listen to it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can watch it on YouTube. You can watch it on Spotify, actually. But that's all I ask. Share the show. Share the Barebow Project. Share Barebow. I'm a broken record with it, but it's the best way for us to really continue to try to get others into the sport, help others who are within Barebow to get them information. Where do you go to Arizona Cup? What do you have to expect? Hey, you know what? There was a show. It did about Arizona Cup. Here you go. Here's the link. Share the show. All right. Thanks, everyone. Once again, good luck in your endeavors. Good luck shooting. You need this weather to change so we get out there and shoot some 50 meter. Got the crazy bipolar Pennsylvania weather going on. But for the rest of you out there, good luck, and we'll see you on the shooting line.
I think then anybody I can put a name to promote our sport.
The archer who owns all the world records, John Demmer III.
You know, the more difficult a thing is, the more important the mental game becomes.
I didn't eat any supper yet either. How about you guys? Did you guys eat yet?
I didn't eat.
Oh, you know,
I got some crunch berries.
Oh,
yeah.
Grayson Partlow.
It's like me taking 3 or 4 years off your eyes just because I weakened that prescription in the shooting eye.
And don't put everything into my shot that I should, that I get a lot of drop on those heavy arrows. It's dropping all the way down. He said, well, you might want to think about going to a lighter arrow in the string walking. And then that's what got that started. So.
Got to mute that bad boy. I can move my live feed over to my other screen so I can watch for questions from the masses. Yep. We don't usually get many questions. We get some questions. I don't know. Denver's not here, so we'll actually get questions because we won't have as many shenanigans going on. Chris Garcia, welcome to the Barebow Project. This is your first appearance, my guy. How are you?
Yeah, doing great. Glad to be here.
Yeah, the champ. This is the AZ, the Arizona Cup, Arizona Archery Enterprises title sponsor for Arizona Cup. Chris Garcia is the champion of the first USAT. Golf clap for you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll let this good old boy. Too funny. Oh, let's see, Demmer's messaging me already. Maybe he'll log in. I don't know. Yeah, John, it didn't pan out, buddy, and you're just gonna have to deal. You can log in when you're ready if you want to. Want to get it out of the way because I'm gonna reach out to the ladies. I want to do a separate episode for them, talk about their experience and stuff like that. But man, it's kind of a what's the word? Kind of like it's nice seeing the development of USAT after all of the, putting a poll out there, and it's nice that USA Archery actually they listened to the masses. Some people weren't necessarily in agreement with the way things broke down, but fact of the matter is it worked out, and it looked like it was a fun event. You guys, talk about your experience there. What stood out to you?
Oh gosh, I've been to that event a few times, shooting, both styles, of basically every style.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the feeling's the same. I don't know, when I was over on that, I've never shot on that other side field. But yeah, I mean, just people were great. Everything ran smoothly. So yeah,
The winds weren't too bad this year.
nah, it's fairly calm. I've been there when it's pretty gusty, but
Yeah.
on that side field is kind of more from behind us moving forward, so it wasn't a crosswind we had to deal with too much.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I think it was that tournament in years past where there was a tournament where people were aiming like 2 bales over or something. Wasn't that Arizona Cup? Yeah. I remember seeing
Yeah,
that.
usually in the afternoon, the way it works, at least on the Olympic recurve side, I felt a little, I don't know about you, Chris, having shot on the other field, I did feel a little detached from everybody because I still have a lot of friends that shoot Olympic recurve, and I like to spend time talking to them and hanging out with them. And it was just the Barebow side, and I think we had Masters Olympic recurve on our side as well. It's kind of like we're detached, like you're in a different area, different field. We didn't get the whole shoot offs thing, like no one paid attention to us. But it was still good to be there and have that, for us, to say that Barebow was at a USAC. That was pretty cool. And as far as the winds go, yeah, it was the winds were calm, but usually after 12 or somewhere around there, the winds usually pick up big time. And I've seen, just like you're saying, Frank, I've seen winds out there that I feel bad for the people that are shooting after 12 o'clock, because it's like, holy smokes. Like, one time, Chris, I don't know if you remember, the big tent blew up in the air, got caught in that. They got caught in like a little mini dust devil and just took off. I mean, thing went 30 feet
across
in the air.
the field, and yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah,
that's not something. That's not something we see too much. I mean, at nationals, we've had a couple of instances where it was like gust. I know a few years ago it was pretty bad, but yeah, you guys have a rare. It's not like one of these rare situations where you guys shot that tournament as an Olympic recurve shooter, and then come in a year later, shoot it as a barebow shooter, and it's definitely a different. It probably has a different effect in some ways, just a different game in general. But shooting 70 meters too, man, that wind really has an effect on it, without a doubt. So, but anyway, Matt, I'm glad that you were able to kind of show up and talk about those live feeds, man. I appreciate you, doing a live feed. I know we were messaging and you're like, like, how do I get this, trying to do it like under the page, but it's all good. It worked out.
Yeah.
It was definitely cool to see that. Oh, what is this? Oh, no. I'm getting messages. But I wanted to just say I appreciate you going through that trouble, because it's not always the easiest thing, as I've mentioned it before. Trying to coordinate this stuff, and even just doing the podcast is difficult. And trying to go, and then if you're shooting, try to do live feeds and stuff. So, for the good of Barebow, I appreciate that you were able to go out of your way to do that.
Happy to do it. No,
Yeah.
Especially it was easy on practice day, because there was practice day. It's very relaxed, and the line judges don't care that we're doing it. But Jim Flores, who was the top guy there, he was like, if you're going to record today, just stay behind the lines and everything. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I told him I was going to be more working on my shooting than recording. And it was just lucky for me that I got to shoot to the very end. Else I would have been recording the last match with Chris from the start, but I was shooting at the same exact time. We just got done before he did. He and Rick did. And I would have gotten more, but I was still shooting at the time.
Yeah.
But no problem. I'm happy to do it.
Well, I appreciate that. And, you put yourself out there when you're putting live feeds up and stuff like that, as we all know. But anyways, and I also want to give a shout out to, let me think, Christy Wapniarski. I think I said that correctly. She had messaged me and asked about just sharing some information about, I misspoke at the previous, one of the previous episodes where we talked about it being sold out. So the situation is that it wasn't sold out, and that the event still had, let's see, she told me that Arizona Cup has a total capacity of 820 shooters. What do you guys say total was? 685?
Yeah, I think that's what I've seen somebody post somewhere. I can't remember exactly, but yeah, I think it was like 685.
Yeah. And then I guess I heard in another podcast that I was listening to that Arizona Cup was sold out. And I guess that's not the case. What they actually end up doing is they will, my dog is hello dog.
Did he try to sneak in?
Always. I guess what they do is they hit a certain capacity for Olympic recurve and compound, I'm assuming, but whatever, they don't shut down registration. They just close open registration, I guess, so they can jockey, lines around and stuff like that. So it's all good, and then they did not have a wait list. Their wait list was like maybe 30 deep or something. So it wasn't quite, we still had 67 Barebow total. Right. And
Sounds right.
yeah, so I just want to give a shout out to her for the hospitality and entertaining Barebow. And just giving Barebow a crack. I know there's some people who still push back on it a little bit, and she's been really open about it and inviting about it. So I just wanted to give her some some support there and reciprocate the appreciation.
Absolutely.
But let me see, I'm going to pull this up real quick. I'm going to quick run through that's not the screen. Hold on a second. Let me see here. Pull up this. There
Yeah,
we
I
go.
had every intentions of shooting that tournament, whether they put Barebow in it or not.
Oh yeah.
I was gonna go and shoot 70 meters Barebow, whatever. But yeah, I'm glad they opened it up, and yeah, we shot 50 meters.
That's pretty cool.
I'm along those same lines, Chris. I would have done the same thing, but I probably would have just put my sight and my stabilizers on and just shot Olympic recurve. It's close enough for me.
What's the fun in
It's not
that?
I know. I'm gonna shoot 70 meter Barebow. I would never hit the target. But it's close enough for me, and it's good to get that first tournament in. I've shot once since. The weather here in Colorado has been awful. Like our winds are ridiculous. We've had just terrible wind, like in the 80-mile-an-hour range. So I've been laying low. I've been doing draw holds in the basement and shooting in the yard a little bit, but
oh really?
It's been terrible here. Yeah, it's been terrible.
Oh man, that sucks.
Yeah. It's cold in Pennsylvania right now. We had snow earlier today.
Yeah.
I keep trying to share between ends and it's not letting me pull up the screen. I don't know why. So I'm just going to put it up on the second screen here and just run through some of the final placements quick before we just have a quick discussion about Chris's experience coming out at the end of the finals. So let's see here. We got Barebow Master Women top 3. This is qualifications. I'm going to pull up the finals real quick. I had the qualification scores pulled up as well. Let's see. There we go. Elimination rounds. Perfect. Finals rounds. All right. Good stuff. All right. Barebow Masters Women. We got top number 1, Melissa McAvoy.
She's awesome.
Yeah. A second, Barbara Carroll, and third, Charlene Scheffler. For Barebow Masters Men, we got number 1, Daniel Weiss. We all know that name. Ben Rogers, and then Bob Carroll. Looks like he's from Arizona, so that's good. Got some Arizona Barebow shooters showing up. Barebow Cadet Female, Erin Hiob. First, Corinne Turner. Third, Sonia Coltier. Not sure, Sonia. Apologize if I'm saying your name wrong. Barebow Men, we got Bryce Hinek from Arizona, Andrew Van Wy, no Andrew, and Luca Pierpantatro. I'm probably saying that wrong too, but they ran at top 3 cadet men. Got Barebow U21. Looks like there was only 2 in that category for juniors. Anastasia Godman, I know her. She shoots Joad and other stuff. And a Shirin Jamali. Yeah. They were 1 and 2. Looks like they just finished. They probably didn't have a finals round. There's only the 2 of them. Then we have Barebow senior women, Christina Lyons, Melody Richards, and then Amy Cooley. We know those names. And then you gentlemen rounded out 1 and 3, with Rick Stonebreaker stealing a spot in the senior men's. Chris, you took the number 1 spot. Rick took number 2, and Matt Yacca number 3. Marcus Cooley followed up with a close number 4 there. So, Chris, talk about your experience there, my guy. What was it like getting into those finals? Is this your first finals shooting Barebow in a FIDA tournament?
No, I shot at the Beach Cup last year. That was the first kind of 50-meter round that I tried, and shot in a finals match there, and ended in a shoot off there too, actually. So yeah, it was the rounds pretty normal for me. I kind of understand how that all works and the kind of dynamics of it. So
Yeah.
but yeah, it was great. It was fun.
Do you feel like, is it from a difficulty standpoint, shooting the Olympic recurve, shooting head to heads, shooting just the competition in general, and then to Barebow, and I mean, you've shot well in other events. You shot, was it the roundup? You shot the roundup, because I know John was like, this dude's good. Watch out. You're gonna see this name. It's gonna come up again. He's paid you mad respect. So your name's been on our radar. I don't know how many other people, pay attention to all of the tournaments and all of the finishes, but do you think that it's harder in general shooting those matches as a Barebow shooter versus shooting against Olympic recurve shooters shooting Olympic recurve?
I wouldn't say, well, harder in the sense mentally, because the Barebow process is very mental versus Olympic recurve. You step up there and you kind of start a motion, and when that clicker goes, the shot's gone. You're like, okay, cool. You have to make a decision to let that string go at some point, and that's kind of where it you can fumble pretty hard on that. So yeah, in that aspect, pretty difficult. I feel like all the elimination matches that I have done have kind of worked me through the whole shoot offs and all that part mentally. So that's kind of getting easier for me. Yeah, I don't know. Between the two, it feels about the same. You still step up there nervous and, pretty anxious to get it over with. And yeah.
Yeah, anxious to get it over with.
Yeah, right.
I know Matt was so anxious to get it over with at Nationals last year, he didn't even realize he was going in the gold medal match.
Yeah, right. Like, one way or another, this has got to be done right now.
He's like, what? It's over? I got third? No.
No.
No. So you guys, I guess I know, do you think that there's a level of callous, Matt, that's happening? You get into these situations more and more and more. What was your comfort level, Matt, versus your first time in eliminations or head to heads versus like Arizona Cup, for example? Because you still had to face Chris, you had to say, Rick Stonebreaker, Marcus Cooley, and just to throw out some scores from the men's side, Chris, he shot a stellar 634 qualification score. Marcus Cooley, 611, great score. Rick Stonebreaker, 608. Matt, 608. So you have 4 scores right there, all above 600, and that's a good place to be. That's a real good place to be, even at nationals. So Matt, are you like, you feel like there's some callus built with this experience, the traveling, the practice day, all of it?
Little by little, it's definitely happening where I'm getting a little more tournament callus for sure. my practice days, so the practice day I go out and I'm very comfortable. I'm having a good time with everybody. Well, as Chris will attest to, you just sitting there, just BSing with each other. Just, same with Rick was on my target. We're just having a good time. And then going into the next day, I try to maintain that comfort level where I'm just, so I can qualify well. And I knew I was, I think, tied for fourth, right? With Rick on that,
Yeah.
going into elimination rounds. And then with the elimination rounds, I don't take those for granted. I don't care who you're playing against. And that guy, Carl Cordero at Nationals, is a perfect example of that. My first, whatever that was, 132nd, I think, or 64th, I can't remember. But I damn near, I almost lost that. I won that tournament. I won that set match by millimeters. And, I was fortunate enough to go to the end, where in this particular one, I started to definitely feel more comfortable as we went on. I had to fight against Nolan, who is no joke. Like, that guy Nolan's a good shooter. And when I got past Nolan, I was a little more relaxed, and going against Marcus, I was just more comfortable by that time. After I'd finished with Nolan, I got to Marcus, and I was just a little more comfortable with Marcus once that was over with. But Chris, of course, he's scary to shoot against.
Hey, when you're posting 634s,
yeah, that's huge.
You're posting 634s. You shot a 29 on one of your finals matches in your gold medal match. I mean, that's legit stuff, man. It is what it
Maddie
is.
Right there.
What's that?
That was against Maddie too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can happen. I know, we talk about head-to-heads and how they are, you never know what's exactly going to happen. It's not,
Right.
it's not like it's not something that you can't just pick and choose. But when you have that set system, it helps you have a little bit more of a comfort level. Like you can make up for a bad end,
Yeah.
Here it is. So that's a comforting thing. There we go. Get rid of that screen. Sorry, I was switching back and forth here. So Matt, I'm glad you said, how you're starting to see that comfort level. And I guess we talk about that to other barebow shooters. Get out and shoot as much as you can. I bet you from last year, that's probably one of my biggest regrets with outdoor target. I didn't shoot any 50-meter games at all. I only shot nationals last year. I don't know. I think at any level, it doesn't matter where you're at in the process. The more you shoot, the better off it's going to be in the tournament level. Doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. Like even Rick, like we know what Rick is capable of at a 50-meter game. He shoots more 50 meters probably than he does anything. He shot a 608. That's not his best showing, but we also know Rick's capable of 640. So, and as the season goes and as Rick dives into it more, we'll see those scores rise. And by the time Target Nationals rolls around, would you say that was one of your intentions on getting this USAT in and getting it out of the way?
Well, for me, it was definitely practice. So last year, I'm with you. I did the roundup with Chris, and we did shoot 50-meter, but I forgot that went 60, 50, 40. That was the only thing we did. And field.
That was in yards,
and then
too.
In yards, that's right. And then field, and we did that the class. I think they called it their classic or something like that, or that indoor shoot. So
yeah, Dakota
just
Classic.
like Dakota Classic. And so Frank, just like you, the only 50-meter thing I'd done last year was nationals. That was my very first outdoor experience in Barebow with outdoor. This was my second, was Arizona Cup. So I did it because I was like, oh, I want to support the whole thing anyway, right? I want to be a face and show up to the tournaments. And I think if you compete at all in Barebow, get out there and be there for us. Like, we need the support. And if they see it and they see people are showing up, they'll keep us there, and maybe we'll get some winnings too. Maybe we'll get some, maybe we'll get a check,
Right.
It's tough because it's all money out, right? It's money out of pocket, the whole thing. And, so I know it's tough, but if you can get out there and get that tournament callus, like Frank's talking about, like, it does help. It definitely helps.
Yeah. for sure.
Yeah, I don't think the nerves completely go away. You just learn to manage better. Is really what it is.
You learn to manage it in that environment, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah,
and the more you have
exactly.
to do it. Yeah, for sure. And I think that's something that people take for granted. They shoot practice scores and they think, you know, even like I'm definitely shooting better practice scores than I have, but duplicating that in a tournament is just, it's not always, not everyone carries those scores over. Very few actually. You know, Demmer and Grayson are probably two of the few that actually carry over, and even some of the practice scores that those guys shoot is still higher than what they shoot in a real competition. But you know, I know for me, you know, I know I do not. It's rare that I do. When I shot Olympic recurve, I definitely was a closer gap to Olympic scores or tournament scores and practice scores. Definitely a much closer gap. But Barebow, there's just so many more variables, you know, and fighting, you know, keeping the nerves in check, keeping the process in check so that the holds are good, the follow through is good, and that you keep your mind in that right spot is definitely definitely one of the more challenging aspects of the game.
Sure.
You know, Hewish commented that he's been busy practicing without sights. No.
Don't
No.
even.
Just no. Like get one of those gifts right now and post it where no.
No.
You stay over there with the
Yeah.
stabilizers and the sights. You stay over there. You go.
Justin's got goals. I know we won't see him on our range for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
He's
him and
good.
his long hair would fit right in over in Barebow, but
He's got to let it go gray though. That's the thing. Let it go gray. Let it go gray.
Oh, that's funny. How long have you known Justin? Did you guys, Chris, have you shot with Justin then too? You know Hewish?
No. I actually just met him in person at Arizona.
Oh, okay.
I went and had lunch with him one time. So
Yeah. Matt, how did you
yeah.
meet Justin?
I was at, I think it was Buckeye or the first nationals I went to in would have been 2018, I believe. And
Oh, really?
whatever his first comeback event was, if he could probably chime in, I don't remember. It was his first event coming back, and of course I'd been following him and his career for a while, and I knew who he was, and he was just a target away from me, but we were standing in the same area by the tent, and I saw him. He was just kind of leaning on the tent, not talking to anybody, leaning on one of the posts. And I introduced myself. I said, "Hey, Justin, my name's Matt." And I said, "I'm just a fan of yours from yesteryear. We're about the same age." And he's like, "It's about freaking time someone recognized me."
It sounds like Hewish.
Totally. Yeah. And
I remember seeing him at a state outdoor in Long Beach. And I'm like, the guy looks familiar. I don't know who he is, but he looks familiar. And yeah, somebody had to tell me like who that was.
Yeah, we hit it off pretty quick, and he introduced me to Mark Hainline, and Mark and I talk quite often. He and Mark at least responds to me when I send him a message, unlike Justin. But no, we all stay in touch, and they're great guys. We're all about the same age, so we hit it off really well.
Yeah, he's we've talked about numerous times, and it's usually when we're in person, about doing a podcast, but trying to nail that dude down, to get him to sit down, and it's I can text him and I'll like, yeah, we'll text back and forth for a long period, and then it's silence. And I'm like, yeah. And then I'll be like, hey, you want to do that podcast? Silence.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's all good, Justin. We're just busting on you. But yeah, we had that conversation though about the history of the sport a little bit, and like people, I think it was one of his, it was right, like I think when he started thinking about getting back into archery or competing, he just like went to a local state tournament to check it out, and he was like walking around and he's like, these people don't even know, like nobody has an idea. And I have to admit, now archery, I think that USA Archery is doing a better job now of promoting and talking about and putting that information out there since Justin. And I'm not gonna say it's because of Justin, but Justin's been vocal about it. And I think you're starting to see some of that. People are like, this person talking to this person. I've done podcasts with Jay Bars, I've talked to Justin about Justin enough. People know who he is. I'd love to have someone like Butch Johnson and have some of these people like maybe on the other podcast or even on here, just because like Butch Johnson is kind of like, gosh, he's like the GOAT of Olympic recurve. Like that guy has just been around for so long. He was just a highlight of a post. I shared it actually. It was I think it was it AAE that shared the post? I saw Gaius shared the post, but I don't know if it was USA Archery. It was World Archery. There's one. It's a post on World Archery. Like he's at full draw here, and one picture you see him at full draw. It's raining, and then the next picture he's still in the exact same position. I think the string is gone, but you see the spray from the water and the arrow's in front of the bow. Like it's a cool picture. Oh yeah, that's on World Archery's Facebook page. Go check that out. But to see somebody like Butch Johnson who's still in the game and still extremely relevant at the game, Lancaster Archery, top 8 multiple times, So when it comes to having those people and Rod White, who's a good friend of mine from back in the day, he's a PA boy. Like these guys that just did amazing things for. There's more archery out there. People go look at your history. It's very interesting. At least it is to me. I don't know if it is to everybody else, but and I'll tell you, Matt, you had Justin in your corner, not to rehash it, but back at the US Open, it's got to feel good knowing somebody like that is there to support you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And he was legit happy for me, like like I said, I moved out of Olympic recurve and into Barebow that year. And, not to say I don't know if anyone wanted me to go or not. I wanted to go and try something a little different. But it was cool to still maintain the relationships with the people I have over in the Olympic recurve side. So when it came down to nationals, and of course we're all mingling and hanging out, and I said to Justin, he's like, we're getting food. You want to eat? I'm like, hey, I need someone in my corner. Why don't you come down? And so he was my coach in my coach's box, and it's just great to have him there. It's so cool. Just a cool experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of coaches, and I'm glad you brought that up, and I don't want to get sidetracked here talking about Olympic recurve, although all three of us have shot it in the past. Chris, do you have a coach? Do you have somebody that you work with Barebow wise, or like where have you learned your process or developed, or is it just on your own?
I had, not really much, all the way from compound through. I had a little bit in Olympic recurve. A friend of mine used to go to Korea and work with the Olympic coaches there. I think she still does. And her mom learned a lot while she was there. So she kind of gave me a little bit of pointers Olympic recurve wise coming back. But other than that, it's just, watching videos, just kind of soak up whatever information I can and go out, test it, see if it works for me. If it doesn't, throw it away. If it does, well, keep it or tweak it a little, It's just been, the whole process is just, I like the process of learning something new like that. So it's pretty fun just learning.
Yeah. Have you made any changes along the way? I mean, let's talk about that. Let's unravel that that little piece on like your process. Like, what is it that you're doing? Because listen, 634 is a stout score especially for somebody still in their first year of Barebow. So have you made changes? Like, for example, since the roundup, have you made any changes? Are there things that you're seeing that work really well? Like, what is it that you're doing that works so well?
Yeah, it was learning a little bit of tuning was a lot of it. Tiller and adjusting that and getting it right for my fingers. And then I had a lot of trouble with head position. So when I first started, all the way through, even through this last indoor season, I was holding a little off left. just because I could not get my head position where I needed it to be to hold point on is really what it ended up being. So I always used to kind of draw up, come into anchor, and then transfer into my back and then start the expansion. And now the transfer is happening just before I hit anchor. And for some reason, that's allowing my head position to be a little more free and get kind of more behind the string and get everything lined up better. That was one thing I changed. Equipment, I used to shoot AAE free flight, and then I switched to a sniper, and I was getting some weird inconsistency or rogue arrows that I just couldn't understand why they went there. So I said, you know what, I'm just gonna go back to the AAE, and I switched back to that, and that all went away. So I don't know if it was something that I didn't know to tune with that sniper rest or what,
Yeah.
but it had to be somewhere in there. So I just got rid of it, went back to what I knew.
Well, there's definitely people that do well with the sniper. I know John has shot it many times. I'm a fan of the AAE just because it's just kind of like fail safe. I don't have, and I still shoot that drop away mode, but I also, there's certain nuances with it that we noticed even from indoor season, like setups as you get the further you dive into archery, specifically barebow, I should say, you start to learn like those nuances of, like I shot big ZT. It worked real well for me. I kept having those screws back out. The screws were back out. I had wire issues, and then I was like, oh, and then you start, biter is like a fail safe plunger, always will be. The Whiffler plunger, it's a good option for sure. Multiple people use them, they work. Like I know Grayson uses the Gabriel buy drop. I think that comes from the UK. It's not like an American made product, but
Germany, I believe.
Germany, yeah. So, and that's like, and he swears by that rest, and it's super simple, So I think everybody has they find their own niche and what works for them. And once it works, it's kind of hard to get rid of it,
Right.
I have to admit though, I myself can be a little stubborn when it comes to that stuff, because I'm like, oh, this worked for me once, it should work. And you don't realize like sometimes you change your form and it has an effect on, for example, the sniper had the exact same problem you had and tried to get it to work, couldn't get it to work with big arrow, got it to work decent with like a skinny arrow, 0.166 smaller. But I was just like, and then those inconsistencies could have been me, and that's like a placebo type deal. Like I'm like, maybe it's me, but I didn't have the confidence in it, so I took it off.
Yeah, it was like what, 1 in 20 arrows I'd get one
Yeah.
where the shot didn't feel quite right, but I'm like, oh, that should be high right, and I look down there and it's like almost bottom of the target, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, that wasn't right. So it just, yeah, I feel like when I shoot an arrow, even if it's bad, I should have an idea of where that's going to be. And I wasn't getting that out of that sniper. Whereas the AAE, I can pretty much, whether it was a good shot or a bad shot, I can pretty much say where that arrow is going, before it hits. So yeah, that was kind of it for me. It was a fun project and to learn how that thing worked, and yeah, go back to something that's solid and I've never had any issues with. So yeah.
Good for you, man. Do you so what's your current setup right now? Run through the whole gamut, everything you're shooting.
I'm shooting an Exceed 25 with long limbs, 46-pound long limbs.
Ooh.
And yeah, pretty much as much weight as I could possibly stick on that thing, but still fit through the ring. I think the overall bow weight was a little over 8.5 pounds. Yeah, and I'm shooting a biter plunger and AE free flight. And I actually got the drop away mode from your video. I was like, I'm gonna give that a shot.
You're currently using that?
Yeah,
Oh,
I like it.
cool.
It's working great. Yeah, I was like, oh, so simple. Let's just try it. And yeah, I really like the way it works.
As long as you
foolproof.
don't mind dealing with moving the wire to put the arrow on the rest, it seems to work just fine. I don't, but
You know, you have to reset the sniper, so I was already used to a motion to
yeah,
reset.
good point.
You know,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, for sure. That's cool. What weights are you using? Are they homemade or are they?
No, I have a Yoast, a 16-ounce Yoast on it, and then I'm using the Hoyt Pro weights that actually go in the
Okay.
riser.
Yep.
And then I have basically all the weights in the bottom limb pocket, as well as some Doinker dampeners that have an ounce on the end of them that are on the top and bottom of it.
That is a lot of weight.
That is a lot of weight.
I'm just sitting there like he's got the Yoast and the pro weight and the pocket weight.
Yeah.
That's a lot of weight.
Even when I shot Olympic, I loaded that thing down. My compound, same thing, just loaded it down. It just gave me the sight picture that I liked. You know, smoothed it all out, and I have the strength to hold it.
Less
So,
movement.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. A 25-inch riser and long limbs surprised me a little bit. I have to admit, the 25-inch Exceed riser was a little bit of a struggle, but you know, John Dillinger made that riser work real well. So you can't say, I mean, it works. I think it's just 6 of one, half dozen the other. Everybody's got their own preference, you know. But that's cool. What limbs? I'm sorry. I know you said 46 pound. Are you using Velos? Or
They're Valus. Yeah, I'm using Valus ones. Yeah.
And what tab?
I'm using Fairweather.
Okay.
Yeah, Fairweather Barebow tab.
Shout out to Simon Fairweather.
Yeah, love
He's a
that
good
thing.
dude.
I love their tabs that I shot for Olympic recurve, so I was like, it was no brainer. I like the leather and the way it feels on my fingers. So yeah.
Is it like do you have like double leather? Do you have kangaroo leather? Do you what do you neoprene? What
Yeah,
are you
I
using?
have the three. I put all three of the kangaroo leather in it, and yeah, that's pretty much how I run it.
Perfect. So let's talk about your matches. Let's talk just your finals matches. There's only 4 of you that shot. So, right. So who did you face first and how did that go?
I shot against, it was Douglas, I believe is his first name. I don't remember his last name. And he was a fairly new archer from that Arizona area. I think he said he only was shooting for 6 months or so, Barebow.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, we just chatted along. It was, it was more of getting in the rhythm and getting comfortable in the shoot off, or not shoot off, but in the matches kind of thing. Yeah, and then from there I went to, it was June, I think is his name. And I won, I think, the first set, and then he got the second one. I was like, okay, I got to focus a little more here. Because, I was having fun talking with everybody, just having a good time, loosening up basically. And yeah, and then it went to Maddie after that, I believe. And I was like, okay, I really gotta, because Maddie, man, he can throw some arrows. So, yeah, I can't kind of remember. You ended up getting a couple points in there, didn't you, Maddie?
I think, did we either? Yeah, I may have taken one set, or we definitely tied one, or something like that. Frank, can you see that? I don't
Yeah,
recall.
I'm pulling it
I
up
either
right
took
now.
a set or we tied a set. I think maybe.
I think you took one of the sets. I know, I was trying to remember the whole thing.
I think it probably went like, it may have gone like you took the first 2 sets and then I took a set and then you took the last set. It was pretty good sweep for you. Because I think that's what happened, Frank. Maybe like he took 2, I took 1, and then you took the third, which sealed it. Right. And you just shot 10, and I saw your shadows. I couldn't see the arrows, but I could see his shadow. There was like a 10, and I'm like, shit, because you shot first. And I'm like, I should know better not to look over at a target.
Yeah,
and I
was
did,
just thinking
and
that.
I saw 10, and I think I flung it was probably something bad, like a 7 or something. I don't know. And then he shot another 10, and I was like, I saw the shadow sitting in there, and I'm like, ah, and I knew it was over.
So
forget it.
To rehash your match, end number 1, Chris shot 28, Matt shot 26, and number 2, Chris shot 26, Matt shot 24. Then at number 3, Matt shot 27, Chris shot 26. And then you shot a monster 29 in that last end to take the 6 point. So you won 6-2, but and well, you shot 28 in the first and 29 in the second. So that's some stellar stuff. And we've said that before, like, people can hit hot streaks, and if you can hit a hot streak and stay on a hot streak, you're in for a good day in eliminations. It is what it is.
I was expecting a slump through kind of every round, because my shot process isn't muscle memory or anything anymore, or still. So I have to think through every step of it, every shot. And, sometimes you miss a step, or you lose a little focus or something like that. So
yeah,
I expect it to be kind of a roller coaster for a little while until it smooths out.
Chris is a strong shooter. I know people know that, but Chris is a really strong. I shot against Chris. So Chris owed me this win, right? So I beat Chris this summer at one of the events, and we were like just about tied. I think we were going into that final match. I think maybe 3 points ahead of you. It was really close, whatever it was. And I had not. So at the conclusion of that match, I had shot 5 10s in a row. It was only, I think, 5 arrow ends, right? And then you, Chris, shot like 3 10s and 2 9s. It was something just absurd.
It was super tight, but you just
it was crazy. And I haven't shot an end like that since last year. So I kind of was fortunate. I was lucky to have won that match, and Chris definitely deserved this one for sure. He shot really, really well that weekend, 2 weekends ago. Yeah, he's a great shooter. Don't
sleep on him. Don't sleep on him.
No, he's quiet. He's kind of shy, but he's a killer.
Yep. Don't sleep on Chris. Have you ever? This will be your first year shooting nationals in Barebow, correct?
Right. Yep.
Did I see that you have a team picked out?
Yeah,
you're on a men's team. Who would your teammates be?
Team going. We got Maddie, obviously, and Robbie.
Weisinger.
Yeah. Weisinger. Yeah.
That guy.
And had to think about it because I'd never shot a team round. So
yeah, it's a stellar team. They're not gonna lie, it's a stellar team. But watch out, see what ends up, whose team Grayson ends up on too.
Yeah.
Grayson's a shooting target nationals for the first time, so that could be.
Yeah,
I see John Demmer has
and
named our team the Titanic because we're going down.
Yeah,
that's what he said on my Facebook.
That's what he said. Yeah,
he's got a big mouth, and I think John Lewis called him Dumber. John Dumber, or he mentioned him as Dumber, and I'm like, new nickname, all right.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, Chris, you don't know what you're getting into.
Dude, I expect it to be pretty wild. So.
Yeah, and it's a good time. And so for everybody who is unsure or never has or whatever, Target Nationals is a good time. It's a great time, and it's in Malvern, PA for this year and next year. So plan accordingly. The last 2 years, it was in Richmond, Virginia. This is the first time, to my knowledge, that it's been in Pennsylvania. So Cindy Bevilacqua is sort of the spearhead of the hosting it here in Pennsylvania. So check that out. I'm not sure. I think actually it might be open registration right now. I'm not sure.
For nationals?
Yeah. Is that open up?
Yeah, it's open.
So check that out, everyone. And then let's look at this last match. So I'm going to run through your ends. You got end number 1 with Rick Stonebreaker. So you, Chris, got to take on Rick. Rick took that first end from you, 28-27. So you get, there's a sign of, oh, there's Rick. Rick's here.
Well, I knew going into it, Rick was going to be a tough match. I just knew it. I've seen him shoot before. I knew he can crush it. So I was like, okay, here we go. Let's see what happens.
So you have a little bit. Well, let's talk about end number 2. So you go down 2 set points to 0. Rick steps up. Second end, 26 Rick, 24 Chris. You lost 2 in a row. You're down 4-0. Where does your brain go going into that third set?
You know, I don't know. I go into my mind. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of, I go into it and I'm like, well, it's either gonna go well or it's gonna go. I'm gonna be done. You know.
Yeah.
I try not to get stuck in it or try and put added pressure on myself, because that obviously never works. Yeah, so I just, go into it going, all right, let's just shoot 3 good arrows, and however it ends up, that's how it ends up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I want to say it's like a fight or flight sort of. I'm staying in this to the end. It doesn't matter what happens. I don't care what my last end was, or you just give up. You
Yeah,
just like you
exactly. Yeah.
blowing off the target and you go crazy or whatever. It can happen. But then
Yeah.
and it wasn't a stellar end, but you won
No,
that
it's
set. So you won the
weak.
third one,
Yeah.
25-24. You took a set point back. You're sitting at 4-2. And then so you're still alive. And then you go into the next set, and then something happened because you shot a 29, Rick shot a stellar 27. So that's a good 3 arrows
Right.
for an elimination round. No question. You shot 29. So where were you then? Boom. You tied it up 4-4.
Yeah, I shot that 6 on that 24, and it kind of lit a fire under my butt, and I was like, okay, let's get this solid here, and yeah, I shot a 29. Ends like that where I shoot a bad arrow, it kind of, like I said, it just kind of lights me up, and I end up a little stronger, a little more focused in the shot and going into the next end.
So speaking of that next end, it's end number 5. You guys are tied 4-4, and it comes down to 26-26. You guys
Yeah,
tie. What happens next?
shoot off arrow. It's we
What
both shot.
now we weren't there, and it won't tell me here. So what
What did
did
we
you
shoot
shoot?
in
What did
that?
Rick shoot?
It was. I think it was 7. I think it was 7-9. I think we both shot 7-9-10 on that. It was something like that.
Uh-huh. And the one arrow then, what was the one arrow? You had a one
The
arrow shoot off, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, 1 arrow shoot off. That was an interesting.
I think Rick was an
Stepping
8
up
and you
there.
were a 9.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Rick was 8. I was for the shoot off arrow, that was a high 10 that I shot, and then
Oh, okay.
Rick shot a 8, I think, high outright.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And yeah, it was. I was stepping up on the line. I was obviously you're super nervous. It's 1 arrow to see whether you win this thing or lose it, kind of thing. you know, um, yeah. So I was nervous, and then I kind of glanced down at my watch to see what my heart rate was, and it was cranking pretty good. And by the time I got set and hooked and ready to go up and draw, I see Rick walking off the line already. I'm like, oh crap, did I waste that much time already? I'm looking up at the clock. I'm like, no, I'm still good. Yeah, I drew up and got anchored, and everything locked into place, and form felt strong. And I was like, all right, let's just let this shot happen and don't screw it up. And about then it was gone. And yeah, it just felt like a good shot.
That's good stuff, man. So you that's an interesting thing. Before we, starts to sidle out of this recording, you said you looked at your watch. So I saw you have an Apple Watch there. You pay attention to your heart rate always, or just?
No, I have a Garmin.
Oh, okay, a Garmin watch. Okay.
The watch. Yeah, it's basically the same thing.
Yeah,
But
right.
it's a new mental process in that I used to step up there and shoot off arrows and be nervous, be scared, and worried about other people watching me, stuff like that. And I just had to change my mindset, and
Sure.
now I kind of go into them still nervous, but I'm more excited and period, to kind of understand what my body's doing and dealing with those emotions and those feelings and stuff of being in that situation. So that way I can kind of learn from it and be better the next time it happens. But yeah.
I was just wondering if it's something that you pay attention to all the time, or if it's something that you've been looking at. It's a good tool to think about, though, and to keep for people to realize, where do you need to have your brain, because where your brain is will have an effect on how amped up you get. If you just stay focused on that one thing, whatever it is, because everybody's got their thing. Some people are they're in that mindset always. Some people really have to focus hard on other things to keep them in the moment. Like Matt, you said about like looking at somebody else's target. That's like a huge no. Like you can look at it. You can look at, I shouldn't say that. For some people it is. Some people you can look at it, but you have to be able to look at it and forget about it. Like you can't be stuck on it. So I'm going to run through your match with Marcus, Maddie. So, Chris, thanks for the rundown on that. It's a nice discussion. Congratulations on that one arrow shoot off. I've had a few of those in my life and they're freaking annoying, but whatever. So let's see here. Matt and Marcus Cooley, and Marcus Cooley is just a consistent name in men's senior Barebow. Shout out to him. He goes to everything. They travel to everything. His wife placed third in senior. So like, that's pretty awesome too for AZ Cup. Congratulations to them. Maddie, so first set, 26-26 tie game. So you split your sets 1-1. Second set looks like you calmed down a little bit. 26-24, you took number 2. You're up 3-1. Then Marcus hit a little bit of a snag. You shot a stellar 27. Went up again, 5-1 at that point. And then you guys came down tied. You took 1 point, would have put you at the, I guess, 6-2 as a winner. So
Correct.
It's a good, strong showing for a bronze medal match, and has got to leave you with some good, solid confidence going into the next tournament.
Yeah, I needed to get out there. I've mentioned this to probably you and other people. The Arizona Cup is the hardest tournament for me to prepare for, because we just don't have the weather. Like, I don't have the weather on my side. I don't have it. I can't shoot. I mean, I just can't shoot. I can't get out to actually practice just because of the weather. And so I set up 2 bows to shoot prior to going out there, and I ended up shooting my orange Exceed, which I knew was working and doing its job from last year. I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick with that. And I shot on Friday practice day. I shot really well with it. And I was like, I'm just going to stick with this. And that's exactly what I did. And I felt confident with that bow. I think there's a lot of, your equipment. If you're confident with your equipment, it really helps your head and your heart, your equipment is working and doing its job. And I think that helps a ton. If you go in and you're not certain about your equipment, like you just don't know, I think that plays a little mental game with you. Like, I know my equipment works the way it's supposed to. And if there's something downrange that went awry, it's on me. It's not on the equipment. So.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff. Well, congratulations once again. And thank you so much for all your help, especially with the coverage stuff, and, just keeping people in the loop. I think, you being an ambassador to the sport is the best you can in whatever, your ability to do it is, taking pictures. That's for everyone out there, as we sort of come to the end of this recording, whether it's taking pictures, sharing them, promoting it, acting professionally when you're at a tournament, and just screaming Barebow is fun and all, and I get the enthusiasm, but just be cognizant of when and with whom you're doing it, because there's these people that are at some of these USAT, like, this is a serious thing. This isn't local tournament. This isn't ETAR. This isn't, we do want to try to present a level of professionalism, and that's where doing the live feeds and talking to people, and trying to develop those relationships with people like Christy, who had the first USAT. She was entertaining Barebow for the first time ever in the history of our sport, and try to be that, putting that best foot forward. And it doesn't always work. Sometimes we get caught up in emotions. Sometimes we get caught up in being busy. I'm 100% guilty of that because I got my hands in so many different things. And you make mistakes. You make bad decisions, and it's the same when we're shooting. But try to always try to think, what I want that for me if I was the one that was being affected by it, shooting stuff like that. But anyway, so just to round it out, Chris, once again, congratulations on being the inaugural USAT champ. That's
Thanks.
a big title. What's up next for you two? Chris, where are you shooting next?
I'm shooting a couple of 3D tournaments, one local, Fresno Safari, and then 3D nationals, NFA 3D nationals in Reading. I'll be shooting that.
Awesome. Are you shooting any more USATs or no?
Yeah, I'm going to be shooting SoCal as well, Buckeye and nationals. So
Outstanding. Well, we'll see you at nationals and Buckeye. Cool. Manny, what about yourself?
I'm not sure the order, but definitely SoCal. So we're already registered for that. I'll be at SoCal, and then the 3D World team trials. I'll be at that, and then probably just nationals. I really had big hopes to do more traveling and competing this year, but I can't budget it. I mean, with airline, I can't. I'm trying to go to Trevor's single string boot camp this next weekend, and I've been trying to get tickets for weeks now, and they're over $1,000 just to. I mean, just round trip tickets to Cincinnati. I'm like, holy smokes. So my budget only allows me so much. I'm not a wealthy man. I don't pretend to be. And I just do what I can in terms of being able to get to the tournament. So yeah, limited.
Yeah, I think and I also think under the current circumstances for that stuff, it's important to have all these USAT opportunities to help more people maybe be able to put their hat in the ring, so
yeah.
Definitely plan to go to Buckeye and nationals, but that's probably about it. Pennsylvania is chock full of national tournaments. We got NFA field and stuff like that here too in Pennsylvania this year. So probably end up shooting that. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right,
gents. Field nationals too. Sorry to just cut you off.
Oh, you are coming to NFA?
No. Yeah, the USA Archery's field nationals.
USA Archery. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. That's the first one, I think. That's in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Cool.
I'm gonna have to try that at some point. I'm afraid of unmarked distances right now. So
well, shout out to Demmer and the push Demmer's class and the push pack, I think they call it, or Archery Learning Center, whatever the name is, because I know he goes over that in that segment. So it's just something to think about. I think it's like $75. I mean, and obviously that supports John and all the information that he puts out there, but that he goes over like judging distance. And I was fortunate one day I took Maggie that I coached and myself, and we went to a course that was local to him, and he showed us like the ropes on how to judge distance and like how you can use like your bow and your finger and stuff like that. And it's something that for me, because I've only did it that one time, I'd have to do it like again and again and again and again it's relatively simple, but you still have to do it for it to be fresh, I guess. But it's definitely a cool tool that I was never taught, wasn't a thing, because I always shot mark distance and FAA style hunter field rounds and so stuff like that. But yeah, check that out. That would be a good tool. And for anybody else who listens to this and happens to be going to that tournament, you have to judge distance and you're shooting unmarked field, go check out that class on the Push Archery, because it's definitely worthwhile watch. So, But anyways, all right. With that being said, guys, it's Easter. I know it was kind of unsure when this was going to happen, and Monday just is too full for me. I talked about it, but we ended up doing this live recording now. So it's just I got so much going on. It's so hard sometimes.
Right.
There's just coordinating like with multiple people. Like I'm not gonna lie, it wears on you a little bit. I've been doing this for a long time now. And it wears on you. It gets stressful, but
Overwhelming.
it is what it is. I signed up for it. So anyways, guys, thanks so much for joining in. And
Thanks for having
good
us.
job once again. And for everyone who's watching, follow these guys. They're all over. Chris, are you on Instagram?
Yes.
What's your handle on Instagram?
I think it's Chris G83 is what it is.
All right. And Matt, we've probably given it before, but give it anyways. Where can they follow you at?
It's just my name, Matt Yacca. That's all it is.
Yeah, there's not many Matt Yaccas around on Instagram.
The only one.
The only one. So go follow these two because they put up great stuff. So all right, gentlemen, peace out. You guys have a good night. Everyone else, see ya.
Thank you.